and gentlemen, thank you for coming out to Canby High School baseball field. And I think we're all excited that that's the last time that it'll ever officially be called Canby High School baseball field. Thank you all for coming. I see the big attendance here is a reflection of how you feel about Mr. Oliver and his family, and I know that they greatly appreciate you being here. The first speaker today will be Ryan Oliver, Wayne's son.
Thank you all for coming out today. Obviously, my dad lived out in left field, but I think this was pretty much his home. I think a lot of visiting coaches enjoyed coming out here because they knew if they ever got run out of a game, they could sneak over to the garage, grab a pop, and still have a pretty good view of the game. So I think this is a fun place, Mr. Clapton. I think you might appreciate that. But this day would not have happened without some important people. And on behalf of the family, we want to thank Mr. Frank Cutsforth for spearheading this. So thank you, Frank. Also to Mr. Pat Johnson, the principal at the high school, for his support in this endeavor. Thank you, Pat. And we want to thank Mr. Bob Hammett for just being Bob Hammett. Not bad. I want to thank my good friend Tom Scott and the entire school board for doing this. Obviously, this seems like a no-brainer to call the field Wayne Oliver Field, but the district has their protocols and they have to go through their guidelines, and we're thankful that they did their due diligence and they went about it the right way, and they came to the final decision to name the field. I know it wasn't an easy decision for them, but we're grateful that they did. So thank you to the school board. And I also want to thank the community. Yesterday at the Wayne Oliver Foundation, the WayneO Golf Classic, we raised in the upwards of $20,000 at the golf tournament yesterday. That money will go back to local nonprofits and youth sports and all that good stuff. So thank you again to everybody that partook in that, and hopefully we'll keep the spirit of WayneO living through that. And I'm sure I've missed several people who have helped make this day possible, and I apologize for that. But just know that the family is very grateful for everything that you guys have done for us. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to former Cougar great Trent Jones.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, so for those of you that don't know me, my name's Trent Jones, and I grew up playing ball here at Canby. And simply for today, you can think of me as speaking on behalf of a lot of the other players, a lot of the other kids that came up through the program as well. And I'm truly honored that Ryan asked me to say a few words today. WayneO was with our team from all the way from the age of 10 all the way through high school, so this is a true honor and this is really special today for me. But to be candid, I was struggling with trying to figure out how to keep this speech just, maybe 2 or 3 minutes long. It'd be really easy to get up here, as I'm sure a lot of you would know too. When you start talking about WayneO stories, to just go on forever because there's just endless stories. But in hopes of keeping it somewhat brief, I'll just share a few memories that I have that I think speak to how dedicated WayneO was to the kids that came up through Canby baseball and how dedicated he was to this field as well. And I know he did this for a lot of other teams growing up, so it's not just us, but it seemed like every game that we had, WayneO was there, whether that's right here at Canby, him posting up in the corner of that dugout right there with the scorebook, or traveling all the way to La Pine for a tournament, or to Arizona or Vegas, or even Miles City, Montana, which is in the middle of nowhere, just to watch us play baseball, and a lot of times keep score for us. And WayneO provided us with a little bit of a good luck charm, or a rally starter, if you will, that came in the form of a chant. So traditionally, in the middle of an inning, we'd come in, everybody'd huddle up, coach would be saying a few words, or maybe Jeff Johnson would be stumbling through some sort of a motivational speech for us. But we'd cap off the huddle with a, Cougs on 3, 1, 2, 3, Cougs. But when we really needed a rally, instead of Cougs, we would swap in a WayneO. And that started back when we were 10, continued all the way through high school. But we had to be really selective about when we would use the WayneO. You couldn't just overuse it. It was a very powerful thing. So for us, we'd come in, after giving up 3 runs or something like that, come into the huddle and be looking around like, gosh, should we get a WayneO in? This is brutal right now. No. Let's. It's only top 3. Let's save it. Go back out, maybe give up a couple more runs, come back in, and I'd look across the huddle, see Derek Johnson mouthing to me, WayneO. And coach would be talking, and we cap it off with the, all right, WayneO on 3, 1, 2, 3, WayneO! And absolutely effective every time. It never failed, but they had to be very selective. We had to pick those WayneOs very wisely. We were very close with WayneO over the years, and actually attended his wedding, attended Wayne and Kelly's wedding, and in our baseball uniforms. And luckily for us that day, a new chant was formed. Not just WayneO, but now we had, all right, Kelly-O on 3, 1, 2, 3, Kelly-O! Equally as effective as the WayneO, used just as selectively. But from the player's perspective, it's hard to see all the things that Wayne did for us behind the scenes. We just didn't have the transparency into a lot of the things that he was doing. He obviously wouldn't talk about it. But one thing was very, very clear to us, is that he dedicated himself to this field and also helping out our coaches throughout the years as well. Whether that meant he's helping out at a field day, he's helping out at a kids camp, providing perspective on what 12-year-old has a higher upside to my dad or Pat Johnson at really cold March tryouts, or simply providing a nice little safe haven with a porch that has a great view of the field and a cold beverage for one of the coaches would get inevitably tossed from a game. But on a serious note, WayneO dedicated his life not only to Canby baseball, but to making the lives of the kids that grew up playing the game that he loved better. And for that, we're truly grateful. And this is a great honor to be a part of this day. I mean, how perfect is WayneO Field? So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I introduced myself earlier. My name is Bob Hammett. I'm a teacher here at Canby High School, and I coached baseball here for a while and been a longtime friend of Mr. Oliver's. This is a great day for Canby High School. It's a great day for kids, it's a great day for baseball, and it's a great day for our future. When you name something after somebody, you're not just providing an honor or a reward for their service. You're making a mission statement about what's important to you and what's important to our community. We want our young people to remember Wayne Oliver, even if they never met him. We want them to live like Wayne lived, to care for people like Wayne cared for people, to be 100% about the community of Canby and going all in and doing it in a humble way, a way that you don't look for people to give you credit, or you don't look for trophies or parades or anything like that. The selfless nature of Wayne Oliver is something that we want people in Canby and beyond to embody. And so when we name this field, and the school district names this field after Wayne Oliver, it's really about the future, about saying what is important to us as a community. And I don't think there's a better man that you could look to somebody, a youngster, a 5, 10, 15-year-old ball player or non-ball player for that matter. And I don't think there's any better example of who you should try to emulate and who you should try to learn from. And it's our job as the adults that knew Wayne, and even if it was when we were young and were touched and coached and inspired by him, to make sure that that memory and that spirit lives on. Someday, somewhere down the road, you're going to be here at this ballpark, and you'll be with your child, a grandchild, or another young person, and you'll be able to say, I knew Wayne Oliver. And that child will ask you, well, why is the field named after Wayne Oliver? And you will talk to them about what he did for kids in this community. You will talk about his bottomless well of love for Canby. You will talk about how much joy that he had in the success and joy of others. And you will talk about how he would do anything to help a young person pursue their goals and dreams. All of these things were Wayne Oliver, and they're all things that we want to see and remain a part of our future. Wayne set great examples for us in our lives, and he will continue to do so, even if physically he's no longer here. I'm sure it's hard for many of us, and many of you out there, to look in that dugout and not see Wayne with a scorebook in his hand, or out there along the left field foul line holding court with his buddies and supporting the players. But Wayne is here. He's here in all of us. He's here in you. He's here in me. He's here in how we handle ourselves, how we represent Canby in our community with class, and how we look out for each other and bond together in times of need. How we care about young, just like Wayne taught us to. If you look down that left field foul line, as Trent mentioned, you'll see Wayne's house. And his decision to live there with his family for many years in that house says a lot about Wayne. No doubt he could have afforded a much nicer house, but he wanted to live right there. He wanted to be close to the ballpark. He wanted to be there to support. He loved the sounds of the crack of the bat, the pop of the glove, the smell of the fresh cut grass blowing into his house. He even loved the music, although not all of my choices all the time. He loved to hear the laughter. He loved to hear kids saying "Hum Babe" and the joy that the game presented. They were the soundtrack to his home, and he would never have had it any other way. I think you can also tell a lot about a person by the things that they hang on their walls. What are on your walls are a reflection of what's most important to you in this life. If you walked into Wayne's office, his walls were an essay about everything that mattered to him. He had pictures of kids, pictures of baseball, pictures of Canby, and lots of pictures of his family. That house was a landmark because we were all welcome there. He even took me in to live a couple times, and as a guy that was nicknamed by my college roommates the Tornado, that was not an easy thing. And a lot of times with Wayne, I'd leave clothes all over the place, and he would simply fold them up, and he'd always make sure there was food, and no matter how things were left in disarray, he would clean, or later Kelly would clean up, and never get mad at me and be infinitely patient because he knew that I was helping the baseball program here, and that's how much he cared, and that's how he wanted to, how much he wanted to have good people around, or at least he thought I was good people. I had him fooled. And as Trent mentioned, I think there's 3 or 4 coaches here that may have coached a few innings from that back porch. If me or Marty were coaching, we'd have to do something about those trees. Yeah, sometimes when people were asked to watch the game from another perspective by an umpire, they went right up there, and that happened to me once. It was a horrible call. Players were welcome at Wayne's house. They were welcome to, have food, to drink, or not like that, to have refreshments, water, and Coca-Colas and stuff, and we'll talk about the coaches. And Wayne never cared about anything other than being welcome and being a servant to them and showing them that he cared and wanted to be there to support them. I'd like to take a moment to recognize Wayne's family here. 14 months we gathered in the gym for Wayne's memorial service. We talked about how Wayne's spirit was just too big to leave us, and how the family and the rest of us that knew Wayne must help him live on. And you guys have done an exemplary job of doing just that. And for Ryan and April and Brett and everybody, Wayne would be so proud of you. And I'd like to hear one more round of applause for Ryan for organizing the golf tournament and continuing to represent his father so well. Just one more thing real quick to talk about the first time that I ever drove down the street with Wayne. It was a flabbergasting experience because he knew everybody and they all waved at him and he waved back. Everybody felt like they were a special and dear friend to Wayne, and they were all correct. I remember thinking to myself the first time I got out of the car after watching him wave here and wave there as he drove down 99 or First Street or wherever, that he must need to ice his arm after a drive down the street like a pitcher because he had to get so tired of doing this. It's appropriate that something in this town is named after somebody who loved it so much and gave so much to it, and it's even more appropriate that is the baseball field here at Canby. Wayne Oliver is a giant of a man, a spirit that we are we blessed to come across. He cared for others with all of his heart and all of his strength. He did all he could to help kids and loved nothing more than seeing them happy. He bled Canby blue and gold like no other. Always remember why this field is named after Wayne Oliver in the future, and take the time to explain it to young and pass along that spirit and that man that is just too big to ever leave us. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Pat Johnson, coach here, a longtime friend of Wayne's, and if I think I'm right here, this might be Mr. Johnson's last public appearance in his official capacity, so let's give a hand for Mr. Johnson.
Thanks, Bob. I too want to thank the family for allowing me this opportunity this morning to honor Wayne with the dedication of the field. I can't remember the first day I met Wayne Oliver, but I know it was over 20 years ago. He was coaching here. I was running around the campus as the CHS vice principal. A lot of what went on in Wayne's home I wasn't too appreciative of at that time. Halftime at the football game, half the stands would leave. And then it would all come back midway through the third quarter. My boys were not of baseball age at that time, but I already had an invitation to Cougar baseball. Wayne, as Trent mentioned, was our team sponsor for 5 seasons. I was fortunate enough to have 2 sons. Jackie and I were fortunate enough to have 2 sons who were talented in baseball. And therefore, as a parent and as a father, I wanted to be involved. And having been a wrestling coach, why not? Wayne and Canby Cougar Junior Baseball allowed me to work with some pretty amazing people. In our first season, I was able to coach with Frank Cusforth, and that began a long relationship with Frank and Wayne in talking baseball and Cougar baseball. Wayne sponsors teams that I was a part of coaching for 5 summers. I can always remember at the end of the season taking the state tournament trophies to Wayne's office. He loved those trophies. Wayne wasn't too interested in the local tournament trophies, and he had no idea what to do with the state sportsmanship trophy that we had won in 2000. Wayne married Kelly during the time as he was our team sponsor, and as Trent mentioned, WayneO was born. 2 state championships later, our boys moved on to the high school, and Wayne stayed with those gentlemen all the way through their experiences in college. Wayne was and always will be Cougar baseball. As a principal of Canby High School, I took great comfort in knowing that Wayne lived right next to the ballpark. He also monitored the South Campus for us. Wayne never reported to me the time the event was happening, but he would always let me know a couple days later that event had happened. In his mind, it wasn't that big a deal to have little shenanigans going on at the ballpark. The midnight games, when the moon was full in the summer, that was just part of the way he grew up and part of what he believed in Canby baseball. But he always let us know. He always kept an eye on the field. Wayne valued every moment he had to talk baseball, especially Cougar baseball. And through those moments, he created countless memories for many of us here today. The naming of a building or an athletic field in the Canby School District takes a process. It's a rigorous process that requires the approval of the Board of Education. I think there are some board members here this afternoon or this morning. Well, it is afternoon. Well, no, it's not. It's still morning. Bob, you talked a long time, so I got a little confused. Can I have school board members please stand and just be recognized for your volunteerism in the Canby School District? Tom Scott, Kristen Downs, he's over the corner hiding. Anyone else? Did I miss one? And I think our superintendent, Trip Goodall, is here as well this morning. Thank you for attending. In the last 2 decades that I've been a part of the Canby School District, I can't remember a time that a press box, a gymnasium, a clubhouse, or any athletic facility was ever named for someone who had made a significant contribution to our school or our community. The naming of the Canby High School baseball field was a board agenda topic for over 3 months. As mentioned earlier, they did their due diligence. They asked questions. Many of you made presentations to the board. You wrote letters of support, and after much deliberation, the Canby Board of Education voted unanimously to naming the Canby High School baseball field Wayne Oliver Field. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor, on behalf of the Canby Board of Education, the faculty at Canby High School, and all of the Cougar baseball family, that I present to you and welcome you to Wayne Oliver Field.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Wayne's grandsons, Helen and Maddox Oliver, throwing to Wayne's other grandsons, Cole and Brady Thompson. So anyway, give it up for them again. That concludes our ceremony. The alumni game will start in about 20 minutes. Thank you all for coming here today and appreciate your support, and welcome to Wayne Oliver Field.
Shining, birds are winging, no rain is side.